Joel, we saw, not only was willing to sacrifice all of humanity to save Ellie, he was willing to sacrifice his own relationship with Ellie to save Ellie. And now he's feeling the weight of those consequences.
One of the things that I think caught viewers off guard in season 1 was when you take the storyline out of the main characters. Is that gonna affect season 2? Like another kind of standalone episode?
Ooh, you're asking a spicy tomato question. I will say, the opportunity that doing a show, doing this IP in television allows us is that you have the capacity to experience totally different POVs than you would in a game, right? In a game, you're following the playable character. Here, we get to dive deep into characters that you might not necessarily have gotten to play, right? So there are opportunities to dig in and expound on certain characters that are very, very exciting. Who those characters are and what those stories might be, I don't know. I have no idea. I've never even heard of The Last of Us, but we could maybe.
I'll take it. Yeah. I'll take it. In the trailer, we see Joel talking to what appears to be a therapist, who's this iconic woman named Catherine O'Hara. What can you tell us about that relationship?
We've had these conversations of what kind of jobs would be really useful in the post-apocalypse. And this is something we discussed in season 1 and had this idea of therapists. Probably everyone experienced some intense trauma surviving the outbreak. They could probably use a therapist. So that would be a valuable job to have in the apocalypse. For a bunch of reasons, it didn't work in season 1. We revisited that idea in season 2, especially we wanted to make Jackson a character in this story, this community. And felt like, if this is going to be a healthy, mature community, they probably would have a therapist. Who is that person? And not only is not just having it for the sake of exposition, how do we tie this character to our heroes, to Joel and Ellie, and make this character pivotal to their relationship? So we created this pretty meaty role of someone that will sit down with Joel and try to extract stuff out of him in this therapy session, but also be a part of this community, have their own feelings. They're not all put together even though they're a therapist. And I would say Catherine O'Hara was on the top of a very short list, and we feel incredibly privileged that she came to play with us and be part of the show. And I'm glad you liked what she does in episode 1, but there's a lot more really interesting stuff with this character later in the season.
Thank you for giving me that, because I've only seen episode 1, and I'm like, I need more. I need to also see, because I love what she's doing with Joel. She's pulling things out of Joel and really trying to let us understand why Joel is the way he is with Ellie. In second season, A Broken Promise fractures the bond between Ellie and Joel. Can you tease how that impacts the relationship in this new season?
Look, so much of this season is a further exploration of love. Unconditional love of parents for the child, or maybe a love of community. It's like, different people, their humanity broadens in different ways. For Joel, it's one person. It's Ellie. Sorry, tell me your question one more time. I lost my train of
just
thought.
like how it impacts this season.
Yes, thank you. So much of this season is about consequences. Now, Joel, we saw, not only was willing to sacrifice all of humanity to save Ellie, he was willing to sacrifice his own relationship with Ellie to save Ellie. And now he's feeling the weight of those consequences. Not just his relationship with Ellie, but the world, right? We get to see there's certain infected out there. People have died in the 5 years that we've jumped from season 1 to season 2. And Joel knows those people might be alive today if he had not made that choice. And maybe Ellie knows as well. And that's the fun part of, again, putting these characters, there's a bit of a mystery of what happened in those 5 years. Why are they estranged now? Where is this relationship going? That's the fun of this season.
Is there a boiling point coming? You know what? You probably can't. I'm like this.
I've never even heard of The Last of Us. I don't know what happens at all.
This is the thing about this show. You really can't talk about too much because there's just so many spoilers.
I'll just say, because you watched the first episode, it's like we get to see there is a ripple effect. That choice that Joel has made has permeated beyond Jackson. Right? That's how we meet Caitlin Dever and her crew. Things are coming to a head.
So season 1, Calgary, Alberta.
Yeah.
Season 2, British Columbia.
Right.
How is Vancouver, British Columbia? How did everyone treat you over there?
I mean, listen, it's Canada, so you're world famous for treating people well. Particularly now, we're really grateful for it. Sorry about everything, and thank you. We love shooting there, and the landscape and the urbanscapes provide us so much. So you know, it was so much sense to shoot in Alberta for season 1. A lot of it takes place in the exterior of the Rocky Mountains, and we did in fact go back to Alberta for some work, particularly when our actors look really, really cold. That's Alberta. Oh my God.
Tracks.
Oh my
That
God.
tracks.
But a lot of our story takes place in Seattle, so of course it made sense that we would shift over to Vancouver for that. But British Columbia at large offers so much, and the crews, a lot of our crews was quite a bit of overlap between the 2 seasons, which is also great.
You know, Craig, one of the things that I think caught people off guard with season 1 is the standalone episode of episode 3.
Yeah.
You know, how it veered away from the main characters. Are we going to see another standalone episode?
Well, we tried to not say, hey, people really like this little surprise. Let's give them the same surprise, because then it's not a surprise.
Right.
What I will say is that we did love the experience of slowing the story down and really focusing in on 2 people. Because and especially in season 2, where our cast has kind of increased dramatically, the scope of the storyline in the world has grown quite a bit. It was even more important, I think, at some point to say, hey, we're gonna, again, take a breath and just focus on 2 characters. It's different in terms of how it works from that episode. We let it be there and, you know, kind of let that exist in perpetuity. But we do have an episode this season that I think does something similar and yet is true to itself.
That's a fantastic tease. So in one of the trailers, we see Joel sitting down with what appears to be a therapist. And that therapist happens to be the iconic Canadian Catherine O'Hara.
One of the funniest people ever lived, one of the most lovely people I've ever worked with. It was such a privilege to direct that scene and to see Pedro Pascal and Catherine O'Hara kind of operate, I think, at it was just the highest level.
Yeah.
It was so amazing to just be there at a front row seat to that. And you know, we thought it was just this really interesting idea that in the post-apocalypse, where some things have no bartering value, therapy would have quite a bit of bartering. Everyone is traumatized in the post-apocalypse. Yeah. And it was an interesting chance to see Joel sort of tell the truth, kind of open up, and yet also hold something back. And to be in a room with somebody who's really smart and perceptive and can say, you're not telling me the truth. And so the question is, will he tell the truth? And, well, people will have to wait and see. We'll have to wait and see.
Seeing that scene was, I mean, obviously we hold Catherine O'Hara very close to our heart. And I hear that we're going to be seeing more of Catherine throughout the season. Yes,
and she plays a pivotal role. It's not just somebody that we bring along to say, like, look, we have a Catherine O'Hara, everyone. No, she's embedded in this, and the part she plays is quite important to Joel and Ellie's relationship, and how that functions and how that winds together and unwinds apart. We're just incredibly grateful that she joined us for the ride, and as far as I'm concerned, we haven't seen the last of her either.
Like the video? Then hit the button, or better yet, drop us a comment. Then check out our latest videos here, and don't forget to subscribe by hitting the button here for more celebrity interviews and entertainment news.